Привет, дорогие друзья! Вы на канале Джейк Тьюдер. С вами всегда я, Джейк. Мы с вами продолжаем прохождение Stories of Destinies. В этот раз я хочу открыть одну из истин концовок историй Небореза, потому что у меня с ним очень мало, только 2 из всех 3. Что я помню, так это вроде остается еще 2 концовки найти с Люпина. Потом найти еще вроде 4 или 3 концовки с Зенобией, еще 5 концовок с Иблисом, и также вроде концовок с этим, с Неборезом. Но если что, мы посчитаем на обратном пути, когда я закончу, мы посчитаем, сколько нам еще найти.
The people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the Lost Gods, thousands had died. But Renato had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
Я думаю, посмотреть, типа, попросить, чтобы качнуть себя вообще. Или не стоит. Простите, хотел сейчас чихнуть, но это не лучший мой вариант был бы. Так, давайте уже продолжим дальше. Дальше вперед, и только вперед. Ссылка сцена, я буду. Давайте проверим. Без разницы, будет ли этот Неборез история на 2 части или на 1, ее будет, потому что все равно снимать придется еще до самого финала. Долго и много. Ну, наверное, не долго и много.
Renato chuckled. It was the same puzzle. He wished he had his friends here, so he could amaze them. There it was. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him. It was a no-brainer. Doubt sunk in before he was even out of sight of the far.
Все вроде бы читалось.
Why had he chosen the Sky River? It was the sort of path he'd always avoided. The path of responsibility, of seriousness. Had he grown up? He didn't feel grown up. He'd made this decision from his gut, like he always did. Somehow, he'd impulsively decided to stop being impulsive. Did that make any sense?
Так, не порез. Так, что было?
There was something
Вроде бы мышей
sour in the air.
от них
like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time.
И у нас взорвалась реальность. Тройки. Выбор опасно. Доверились, пошли дальше. А потом после чего погибли. Без вроде не порез. Значит, сейчас мы выбираем.
There were fewer and fewer trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
Когда ты играешь в концовок, ты начинаешь забывать, как ты вот получал. Так, вроде я в Зенобии, там был у нас только каркас, Зенобия, и мы пошли к ней навстречу. Там было еще выбор идти в этот, к нашим говорям. Надо будет, наверное.
The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick.
Наш.
Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark art, and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick, he carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it. Well, of course.
Если мы там были у Кавалеруса вроде, то надо бы сходить уже к нам, когда это оружие.
Why had the parts of the Sky River only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it? The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. And, hopefully this time, just his destruction. legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk.
Нет, черное солнце, все остальное, это вроде было прибыльца. Мы вроде не порезом это никак. Ай, почему я сразу получился?
Cannon trap. Who doesn't love being shot at by cannons? And who kept these things loaded anyway?
Конечно, я не могу списать. Конечно. Что такое крюк? Так хорошо, я получаю тоже. Хотя вроде на еще это другое не успеваем сделать. Удивительно, вот когда я начал только-только снимать первые несколько серий, они делились на две аж части видео. А сейчас
Renato was
часть все в одном
thrilled.
видео.
The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried. At least go see Calaveras. Yeah, said the worried toad. He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent
Так, вроде мы
Emperor.
встречались
If
с ним, у нас
anyone could tell him how to use this weapon
другое.
safely,
Один
it will be
шанс
Calaveras.
из
It was he who
28.
told Renato how to find it in the first place.
Вот так.
But maybe he had to give up on
значит,
using it as
вот
a
это я
weapon.
правильно, значит, я...
Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use. One way or another, there had to be a safe way to use it. On the way to the ruins of the city of Ubar, Renato had plenty of time to ponder what the toads had said. Strings and holes and something called anti-stuff. Well, he didn't understand any of it, but it made him nervous. Renato would hear one metaphor and decide the Sky Ripper was safe, and then another, and worry it was catastrophically dangerous. If it could destroy the entire world, nothing was worth risking that. But if it couldn't, then not using it would be an act of cowardice. Of course, it could be catastrophically dangerous. Renato knew that. But maybe it wasn't always. He would bring the Sky Ripper to the council. Wiser heads would know what to do. The truth was, if it wasn't safe, then it was dangerous. They couldn't use it. He'd found the Sky Ripper for nothing. He should have rescued his friend Lupino. Oh, he should have confronted Zenobia. He had nothing but his sword. But maybe the council would have an idea? The ruins. Why were so many ravens scouring the ruins? Had someone betrayed the secret base?
Возможно. Так не говорите, что мне сейчас опять концовку свою.
Oh, you got such delicious looking eyeballs.
Cord the lead, Raven. Thank you, I think, said Renato. It never hurt to be polite. The rebellion was in trouble. They'd have to attack, brandishing a super weapon they could not use. It could work.
Ты меня не слышала, сказала, только не говори, что мне опять сейчас будет концовка середина. Зеленым.
A raven cawed, "There he is!" And they ran away, cawing. They knew he had the cord, didn't they? And they were afraid of it. Little did they know, he couldn't use it. Wait, if they didn't know he couldn't use it... Yes, a sword can be powerful without ever being drawn from its scabbard. Sleep tight, thought Renato.
Как если подумать. Этим звук этим нюхать. Нет, там нет. Все равно меня подол задел.
The long stairs.
Прям больно
So
задел.
he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Smell any better when you're dead.
Я что-то не самое смешное. Типа такой же вялый, что ли, да? Ага. Ага-ха. Сейчас попытаюсь остановить. Дальше
Renato barely made it to the hideout when he was shoved into a meeting room. He laid out his plan. They were shocked. Bluff the Emperor with an unusable weapon? Yeah, it's brilliant, laughed Renato. He keeps sending ravens, none of them come back. How does he know it's my sword?
I suppose there's no harm if it fails. Take the Sky Ripper into a firing position.
Croaked the speaker.
I shall attempt to hail him by far, Speaker.
It was a huge bluff. Renato had no cards to play. Just a weapon that could maybe destroy everything he hated and everything he loved. Could he be sure it wouldn't work? No, of course not. Of course the Emperor couldn't be sure it wouldn't work, and he must believe in ancient weapons if he hoped to bring back the lost gods, right? What terms could he offer Isengrim III? Now, he would have to step down, obviously. And accept the rebellion? Was that asking too much? Maybe Renato would ask him to make Zenobia Empress. Yeah, his daughter, after all. She would never sacrifice innocent kittens and puppies to bring back the lost gods. No. Renato had to seem confident. Overconfident, even. Like he was sure he could blow up the Emperor's ship to hell. I mean, who believes a cautious bluff?
Ну... Мне все же больше понравилась идея, что Дестинис стал императрицей,
Right into the middle of the fleet. It was a glaring weakness in the defense.
Что у них это может получиться. Вот идея, что Зенобия может стать императрицей, да, это вот правда очень интересно. И наверняка это лучше. Как я вообще смог получить ачивку за осторожность? Типа я здесь ачивка, чтобы пройти один уровень. В общем, все, вот это одну истину какую-нибудь, не получив урона. Любую истину открывайте просто, чтобы ты не получил во время этой истины вообще ни одного урона. Как я вообще эту ачивку смог получить-то? Я здесь урон получаю, это сделать. Чуть-чуть только, чтобы еще качнуть себе, чтобы очко получить.
Kill the rebel! Caught one, Raven. Eat the rebel! Caught another.
Да, получилось сумки. Откуда у меня? Молодец.
Strange. Fighting to place a weapon he could not use.
But
he could end the war tonight with just a threat. So much more humane than destroying a ship or an entire fleet. And then he would destroy the Sky Ripper in case some other adventurer was tempted. You never knew about some of these other foxes. Soon, it would all be over.
Ладно, глянь, что здесь есть. Ага, я прям увидел, что там есть такое. А он-то как?
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. Now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
Они оба работают. Менять их просто не могут. Если оно все еще работает, то можно ее оставить. Типа, я же не мажор какой-то, что у тебя какие-то вещи. Ага, смотрите. А у меня есть там
You set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up.
Если еще работает, то можно еще и
Zenobia came
пользоваться.
out, flanked by a whole platoon of ravens. I know you, Renardo. You won't actually use that, she said. I know what the scientist told you. That it would totally blow up your fleet. You're reckless, Renardo. Bold. Dashing. Brave. Devil-may-care. Wild. Impulsive. Hasty. Rash. Sometimes even a little harebrained. A bit feckless, even. You just don't think things through. Oh, get to the point, woman. But you're not crazy. How do you know I didn't go crazy? Demanded Renardo, doing his very best to look crazy. Well, go ahead then. Press the trigger. Oh, damn her. She'd seen through him again. She never fell for his bluffs. This was the moment to do something brilliant. To come up with exactly the right thing to say, to make a heroic move. That's what heroes do. Oh, but he couldn't think of anything that wasn't obviously stupid. He was too shocked to move. Her ravens came and seized the Sky Ripper. He stared as they pushed it over the side into the abyss. Hey! Oh, I fought really hard to get that. It should never have come back. And yet to admit she was right. She had always been right. It was one of the frustrating things about her. Years later, as he rotted to his death in an Imperial prison cell, Renardo was still trying to come up with something clever and heroic that he could have done in that last moment. But he never could.
Ух ты, концовка.
Oh, again? But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way.
История
What
22.
was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino.
История 22. Каменное лицо. Что это за герой? Герой, который открывает перспективу в самой безнадежной ситуации. Свободно победить без единого выстрела. Так, ладно, я забыл, как я это получил. Спасти Люпина, найти ядро, атаковать аванпост, спасти Люпина. Ага, это я помню, это мы за ядром тогда пошли, да. Так, этот я получил, спасти Люпина, найти Зенобия, отвернуть план Люпина, довериться Зенобии. Ага, так, этот я получил, найти Зенобию, принять план Люпина, довериться Зенобии. Ага, не доставлять. Так, значит, там вот, найти каркас, найти Зенобию с учеными. Так, ну Зенобией. Тут Люпина. Так, значит, это была Люпина. Это снова Люпина. А, это был каркас. Так, здесь. Ага, убить Зенобию. Встретиться с советом. Убить Зенобию, слушать голоса. Здесь найти ядро. Встретиться с учеными. Потом пойти на совет, а не к другому. Здесь. Ага, спасти Люпина, найти ядро. Уже атаковать аванпост. И встретиться с советом, а не спасать Люпина. Значит там довериться ему. Да. Так, найти каркас, встретиться с учеными, с коловязом. И вот тут с советом. Так, получается, теперь надо спасти Люпина, не доверять Люпина. Найти Иблис. Потом идти к Зенобии, другое. Найти Иблис, пойти другой исполнить план. Потом каркас. Найти каркас и идти к Зенобии. Встретиться с советом. И получается, что еще попытаться, да, убить императора. Что получается, две концовки с Люпина. Это, наверное, я их получу, если я ему не буду доверять. Наверное, их получу. 3 концовки с Зенобией надо еще. Это, наверное, если я Иблис и каркас снова. Потом здесь еще тоже 3 концовки. Это тоже Иблис и Неборец 4 концовки. Ага. Ладно, давайте тогда с Люпино пойдем, найдем потом ядро и не будем ему доверять.
The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Bernardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage. Renato finally realized that Lapino was a traitor to the cause, and maybe Renato could use that somehow. Lapino had apparently managed to confuse the judge, but...
Что ж, дорогие друзья, я надеюсь, все понравилось. Вы подписались, поставили лайк, написали комментарий. Поддерживайте канал тем, что я перечислил. Сейчас уже, наверное, сентябрь. Я потому что не знаю, когда выйдет это видео. Но я с вами прощаюсь. Всем удачи и пока!